Cougar Nation, and welcome to the very first Coaches Weekly for the 2024 men's soccer season here at Concordia, Chicago. I'm Jonathan Shear with the Cougar Sports Network, and joining me for the very first time this season is head coach of the Cougars men's soccer team, Brad Callahan. Coach Callahan, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And this is actually going to be your second year as head coach of this Cougars soccer team, and you're coming off of a year that you yourself have described as a rebuilding year for this team. Went 0-16, not an ideal year, but coming into this year, there's a lot of hope surrounding this team. So what are some of those goals that you kind of are looking for with this team this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited. This is my first recruiting class coming in, so I was able to bring in a ton of new players. We had 27 new players, a lot of freshmen, a lot of transfers. And I think last year we had a really strong core. We lacked depth. And so this year now we have a ton of depth. And we have a lot of strong returning players. So, I mean, my goal is to make it, honestly, I'd like to win conference, make it very deep into the conference tournament, and, finish the regular season at the top of conference.
Yeah. And you mentioned it right in there. One of the big stories coming into this year is the new players on this team. About 38, 39 players on the roster. Last I checked, 27 of those are new players. Like you mentioned, a lot of transfers, a lot of freshmen on this team. How do you go about working with a team like that with just such a mix of returning players and a lot of new faces to the squad?
Yeah, I think we've already done a really good job with it. So we had preseason, we had 2-a-days every day. So we'd have a morning session that was more fitness and technical. Then we'd have lunch together every day. And then we'd have an afternoon session that was more tactical, more bigger gameplay, bigger games. So I think just being around each other all the time, having lunch every day together, being on the field, going for runs together in the weight room together. And then we also had a kayaking trip to the Chicago River. And then we also took a trip to the Indiana Dunes.
Okay.
So, I mean, we've done a lot of team building stuff, spent a lot of time together. So I think the team has gelled together very nicely.
Yeah. And you kind of got your first look at that at game speed yesterday. The team took on Great Lakes Christian College in a scrimmage here at CUC yesterday and won the scrimmage 5-2. And looking at your team, like sort of game action, going up against another college, what's some important takeaways you saw in that action yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I was really happy. I wanted to get everybody in since it was a scrimmage. So we had 37 guys play. So I had first 11 play for 30 minutes. Then all 11 players came out. Another 11 played for 30 minutes. Another 11 played for the last 30. And then with that, I had 4 players and 4 more players played for the last 10 minutes. So everybody got about equal playing time. So, I mean, I think that's a really good sign that everybody played and we won the game 5-2. I think we have a lot of attacking power going forward. We're very deep in terms of midfielders and forwards. And we have, great defenders as well. But I think it's tough for me making a starting lineup because I think a lot of guys deserve to be out there. And it's nice to have that this year because in practice they push each other and they know that they really have to earn that time in the field. And it makes it a competitive environment.
Yeah, and one of the things I heard coming from that scrimmage they say was the chemistry of the team. It looked like the team flowed together well, they meshed well, actually playing out on the field. Is that something you kind of saw from the team?
Yeah, I thought the possession looked good. I think we have a lot of smart players. One thing I've stressed a lot is being adaptable, not playing a strict system. I think the higher your soccer IQ is, the more flexible you can be. And the more flexible you are, the better you can play.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we definitely go over tactical stuff, but I want the guys to be able to interchange positions here and there when it's necessary to make certain runs to get forward and go to goal. And I think the creativity looked good, the defensive organization, that looked good as well. So, I was happy with that.
Yep. And you're going to see that kind of get into real game action. First official game of the season taking place this Sunday right here in River Forest at 3 p.m. going up against Carthage College. So coming into the very first actual game of the season, what are some goals you have for your players to achieve in this game?
Carthage is a really good team, so that will be a great test for us. I saw they're ranked third in conference for CCIW. And I think the biggest things that I really want is the organization and the discipline on defense. I've talked to the guys about, not taking a ton of unnecessary risk on the defensive end, not ever allowing to give Carthage anything easy. And then offensively, kind of like I was saying, that creativity, that adaptability to keep the ball, give different options. Something I've stressed a lot at practice is, keeping your head on a swivel, seeing where you can move, and recognizing if there's a player on our team who already has that option covered and giving a different option. So, for example, if our number 9, our top striker forward, is checking 2, can our number 10, our other, attacking center mids / withdrawn forward, can he get forward?
Yeah.
Or vice versa. So just kind of recognizing the situation around you and being smart in that way. And then I think the guys should be very confident. I think we've had a very a preseason that got a lot of touches, a lot of fitness, a lot of technical work. So I think they should go in very confident, with that confidence being based in facts and being based in the work that they've done, and with all the new guys knowing that we have a very strong team.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, Coach Callahan, for coming on today. And like we mentioned, the Cougars kick off this season this Sunday right here at Concordia, Chicago at 3 p.m. against the Carthage College Firebirds. If you can't make it out to the game here, make sure to follow the action live on the Cougar Sports Network and get caught up on everything you miss on cucougars.com. I'm Jonathan Shear with the Cougar Sports Network, and thank you again for joining us for this men's soccer coaches.
Welcome back to Concordia Stadium here on the campus of Concordia University, Chicago, as we get set for Game 2 of today's soccer doubleheader. This time it is the men's soccer team taking on the Firebirds of Carthage College. Peter Borkowski back with you on the Cougar Sports Network, this time joined by Van Gato in the booth. And Van, let's start with the Cougars. Last year, kind of a year to forget for CUC. First year under head coach Brad Callahan. The team went 0-16 on the year. Obviously, they were finished last in the NAC conference. They're picked to finish there again this year. But what I really want to focus on about this team right now, Van, is not last year's 0-16 finish. It's just how new this team is. They have 27 new faces on this roster, 18 freshmen, and 9 transfers. And on one hand, while that can present problems in terms of chemistry, adding that many new pieces, this is going to be a really interesting team to watch just because of how brand new it is to not only Coach Callahan, to us in the booth, but to other teams as well. They haven't seen any version of this Cougars team before, so it's going to be interesting to watch this year.
And building on that, a lot of the Cougars, like you said, they're newer to this program. They're freshmen, incoming players, transfers. With that, that builds a lot of just motivation to be on the court right away and on that field, putting in the work in the gym and off the field to try to make sure that they have this team chemistry, because that's going to be the key thing for this team, is just building on a better season than last year. They had a smaller roster, too, which can cause problems just for not the fact that there's not as much team chemistry, but people get tired. There's easy to have injuries, and during practice, as a team that had a small roster, it is hard to – you get a lot of reps, but it is hard to continue and build.
It's hard to work on some stuff with so many limited players. That's a good point. But we did get a sneak peek of this team not too long ago. Last week they played in a scrimmage, Great Lakes Christian College. They won that game 5-2, so this team already off on a right foot. But before we get to the starting lineups, let's really quick talk about their opponents. Carthage, the Firebirds, very much in a different position where the Cougars were. They went 11-6-2 last year. They lost in the CCIW championship. They're picked tied for third in the preseason poll this year, along with Wheaton. And on top of that, Van, they're already off to the right note this season. A 1-0 win down the street against Dominican University Friday. This is a good Carthage team, and they proved it with a win over a good Dominican team on Friday.
So one of their returning players, Crowder, was the Offensive Player of the Year for the conference for the CCIW. He scored their Lona goal, a couple days ago. And then who assisted that was Mock. And continuing off that, Kowalski, he is their goalie. He had a strong performance in their game. He had 4 saves on the net. Carthage last year lost in the conference championships, but for this year they are tied 3rd for the preseason stats.
That's right. So Carthage looking to make another run to the conference final this year and hopefully win it this year in their year under Paul Lease, hired back in February of 2022. 3rd season at the helm of Carthage. And as Van said, this is a team with a lot of firepower, specifically in Aiden Crowder. The forward was Offensive Player of the Year in the CCIW last year, and he is back once again to try and lead his team not only to the conference championship, but hopefully into an NCAA playoff spot as well. So the pre-game buzzer has sounded. The teams are huddling it up one final time, and they will come onto the field for the starting lineups. We'll have all of that for you and more in just a second. Then we'll be back on the Cougar Sports Network for today's Game 2 of today's doubleheader. Cougars taking on the Carthage Firebirds in the 2024 season opener for the men's soccer team. We'll get our first look at Brad Callahan and a very new Cougar squad in just a minute, so don't go anywhere. You're watching the Cougar Sports Network. The starting lineups have been read. Let's run through them one more time for everybody watching at home. First, for the visiting Firebirds of Carthage College, it is number 2, the senior Roland Dearborn. Number 4, freshman defender Blake Koza. Number 5, graduate student Nick Renfro. And number 6, a sophomore midfielder Juan Ramirez. At number 7, sophomore forward Samuel Riano. Number 10, senior midfielder Jet Umanji. Number 11, sophomore Dennis Vea. Number 13, sophomore midfielder Emmett Hansen. Number 17, junior midfielder Eli Schofstall. And graduate student midfielder number 19, Mickey Riley. Starting in goal for the Firebirds is number 1, the junior Evan Kowalski. Firebirds, they are coached by graduate assistants Peter Tuttle and Jack Daly. Their assistant coaches are Cale Brown and Vlatko Minik. And the head coach in his 3rd year at the helm of the Firebirds is Coach Paul Leese. Now the starting lineup for your Concordia University Chicago Cougars. It is number 2, senior defensive player Julian Yanez. Number 6, freshman defensive player Jose Garcia. Number 7, senior forward Garrett Pointer. Number 9, junior forward Philip Tokars. Number 18, a freshman midfielder Christian Ibarra. Number 22, a senior midfielder Elias Di Santiago. Number 25, a graduate student forward Ronaldo Joseph. Number 27, senior midfielder Giovanni Velasquez. Number 28, a junior midfielder Justin Ocampo. And number 29, a sophomore defender Omar Figueroa. Starting in goal for the Cougars is the junior number 34, Kyle Schultz, and the head coach of the Cougars is Brad Callahan in his 2nd season at the helm. Coach Callahan is assisted by Ellis Jones.
One thing about this team is that Schultz and Pointner, 2 of our returners, are just strong players overall. Both led the team offensively and defensively, so it's cool to see how they're going to develop with this new team this year.
That's right. Schultz last year played 13 games, 843 minutes, 600 saves, and 600 save percentage, 72 saves. Both of those were team highs. As for Garrett Pointer, he is the leading offensive player of this squad coming off last year. 16 games started. He had 4 goals and 9 total points, both of those being team highs. As we are underway here, CUC men's soccer kicking off their 2024 season with a home contest against the Carthage Firebirds. Cougars moving right to left on your screen wearing their all whites. Wow. As here's an immediate chance from Carthage, and just whiffing on it was the Carthage player that is number 11, Dennis Vea. So Carthage already with a good scoring chance. Nothing comes of it. And then to finish up our uniform descriptions, Carthage moving left to right on your screen. They're in their red away unis, white lettering. Carthage goalie Kowalski is in the yellow top with black shorts, while the Cougars' Kyle Schultz is in the neon green goalie kit. So Cougars have it at midfield. They send it in, but Carthage able to boot it back towards CUC. As a couple of new faces for the Cougars, but there's a familiar face, Garrett Pointer. He's got a race to stop the ball in the corner. He does. Now he's going to go to work on his defender. Pointer still working. Pointer puts something towards the net, and it's made save by Evan Kowalski.
This year, working the ball is one of the main strategies the Cougars need to improve on. Last year, they weren't as offensively as they used to be, so they needed to just work on moving this ball and making sure that we get these passes in to set up Pointner for these goals.
Right. Last year, the Cougars scored just 12 goals in their 16 games played. That was the worst mark in the conference. They also allowed the most goals in the conference with 74, 4.63 goals allowed on average. So this is a team who they didn't have a lot of bright spots last year, and they're in for a change this year. Hopefully, as Kyle Schultz comes out with the aggressive grab and stops any offense from happening for Carthage. Here's Jose Garcia. He moves it up. Garcia, one of those new faces for the Cougars. A freshman on the defensive line out of Aurora, Illinois. So home of fellow NAC opponent Aurora University. As this ball is headed, and now we get a whistle blown. I believe they're going to say there's a foul on Carthage, which means Cougar free kick, and they're going to let Schultz take it.
For Carthage, further strategy going in this most likely is really honing in on the defensive side against the Cougars, making sure they work their offense and try to get the ball as quick as possible and score as many goals. Just using the previous lineup of the Cougars and using that as example, which the nice part about a new lineup is that there's a bunch of unexpected, and the Carthage team had to work with not knowing really truthfully what lineup was going to be out and what the Cougars would be working with.
Yeah, I think element of surprise, is going to be a big note to watch for the Cougars. That's what happens when you have a team that is, really over half the team is made up of new faces, whether they be freshmen or they be transfers. This is about a 40-man squad. I believe it's closer to 35, actually, and 27 of those guys are new faces. So this is a team that really most teams, if they look back to last year's footage of the Cougars, they're going to have no idea what this team can bring this year with their almost entirely new lineup. So in these first couple of games, these non-conference games, that's going to be a big boost for the Cougars. And even when we get later in the season, teams are still going to not really know what these Cougars are like to actually play because they haven't played this iteration of the Cougars before. As now we get another whistle blown, and we'll see what the call is. As the players start moving towards the Cougars' net, it'll be a free kick coming up here for Carthage as they immediately get started. Ball is passed back to midfielder Eli Schaffstall, a junior out of Inverness, Illinois. William Fremd High School alum, as this ball goes out. Last touch by Samuel Riano. As now to bring it in is Julian Yanez, a senior out of Cicero. He's one of the few returning upperclassmen on this Cougars roster. As here's a good break for Carthage. Rushing ahead for it is Veje. And he's going to center it, and it's going to go behind the net. So bad touch there by Dennis Veje. And will look like a pretty good opportunity at first. Turns into a goal kick here for Kyle Schultz. Schultz's kick going to make it to about mid-pitch, but it's headed back by Renfro. Renfro, another header there. Nick Renfro, a player with a lot of pedigree. Not only is he a grad student coming back, he was a 2023 second-team All-CCIW member for the Firebirds. So this is a team who has plenty of pedigree, not only in team success but also individual success, going up against a very new Cougars team. It'll be interesting to see how that battle unfolds moving forward.
The Cougars are really trying to attempt to work this ball right now and trying to create this opening. There already was 2 breakaways for Carthage, so they need to capitalize and make one for their own.
As the ball is booted up, and a couple headers there. Yanez receives it, gets swarmed, but able to get it off to Di Santiago. Now Di Santiago, he looks for Tokars. As Tokars is working around his defender, can't really find much breathing room, eventually turns it over. Ball still loose, and getting pushed off the ball is Jose Garcia. Garcia and Tokars are fighting for it, and now the ball gets away. Here's Garrett Pointer. Pointer, some nifty footwork, trying to create some space for himself. Finds Elias Di Santiago, and he's just going to kick this all the way to the far sideline for Ronaldo Joseph to handle, and he doesn't handle it for long before the Firebirds get it back, working it up the far sideline. And good boot there. That was coming from Giovanni Velasquez, wearing number 27 this season. You've seen him wear a multitude of numbers. Mostly was seen wearing number 12 last year. As here come the Firebirds now. Cougars already off to a good Sunday. The women's team defeating Spalding University 1-0 earlier this afternoon. It was an exciting game to watch as CUC only had one shot. As meanwhile in this game, Carthage looking for another shot, and they're going to turn that one over. It's kicked out of bounds by CUC's Justin Ocampo.
Especially for this defense this year, sometimes the best option is just getting that ball out so then our defense can set up for that. The Cougars, like we said last year, wasn't their best defensive year. However, this year they could really capitalize on that and really stop an offensive team like the Firebirds.
Right. In terms of the Firebirds' underlying statistics, 55 goals for last season, second most in the conference, and they only gave up 44 goals. That was the second. That was also the second most. So this is a team who gave up a lot of goals. They scored a lot of goals as well last season. So as Van pointed towards, CUC's defense is going to have to work extra hard here. Game number 1 to slow down a Firebirds offense that has put up some serious numbers in the last couple of years.
And with the new team, this is the time to establish a name for themselves if they're going to be great at offense, defense, or they're going to be well-rounded. And it's exciting to see as this new roster develops for the year how the Cougars are really going to break away from either old habits or build into new ones.
Yeah, I guess if you want to look at a positive spin on last year, 13th ranked offense, 13th ranked defense, you can only go up from there. And this is a chance for CUC to, like Van said, really figure out, Brad Callahan, second-year head coach of the Cougars, he's got his team here. He's got 27 new faces. Like, this is for sure his team, which is kind of rare to see for a second-year head coach. Is it going to be an offensive team? Is it going to be a defensive team? Is it going to be a nice mix of both? What is it going to be? And as Van said, this is a good game to kind of put a statement out of what exactly this team's going to look like, especially against a experienced and established team like Carthage.
And like you said, we could only go up from here, the Cougars, which is why this game, however the cookie crumbles, whatever happens, this is the time to really build on and continue building on their identity.
Yeah, I think you got the sense last year, which you see a lot with first-year head coaches. I mean, it's rare not only for a first-year head coach to come in and find immediate success, but it's rare to come in and immediately establish their team because they're working with basically, it depends on when they were hired, but they're usually they're working with a team that was somebody else's creation. It was somebody else's recruiting classes, and that's kind of what Brad Callahan had to work with last year. And as you alluded to at the top of the broadcast, it was also a very short-staffed team. There were 13, 14 guys on the squad, which is not a lot of players for a soccer team, I will say that. So not only did he have to work through that, but also just working with players he didn't bring in. But this year, he's got 27 guys here that he brought in and that he can fully use to create his identity. So it's going to be a fun year in that regard to see really what kind of head coach Brad Callahan is when he's got his team to mold. Meanwhile, back on the pitch, the Cougars trying to breach the Carthage Firebirds defense as it isn't going to look like it'll be this time. Coming away with it was Eli Schofstall, and that ball eventually rolls down to the Cougars bench. Nice stop there by Coach Callahan. Harkening back to his playing days, started at Flagler College before transferring to Indiana University for the final 2 years of his collegiate career. He also played semi-professionally with the Indy 11 of the United Soccer League, along with the Southwest Florida Adrenaline. So Coach Callahan, as a lot of coaches do, has plenty of playing experience under his belt and hopefully ready to infuse that knowledge, pass on that knowledge, I should say, to his young squad. As there's a ball ahead for Carthage. Racing for it are the Firebirds. They get possession of it deep in the Cougar zone, and that shot's going to be way over the net and goes the opposite direction. And it'll be a goal kick for Kyle Schultz and the Cougars. .33 minutes on the dot left to go here in the first half of action. A pretty good crowd on hand here at Concordia Stadium this Sunday afternoon. last broadcast, Dave Dimeling and I were talking about just how beautiful an afternoon it is for soccer as well. Mid-70s, not a cloud in the sky. Just kind of a perfect day for a pair of home openers, and in the men's team's case, the season opener.
But with the wind, it is a little windy today, which can affect the trajectory of the ball, especially for the goal kicks and just those hard driven with a heavy foot.
As here's a loose ball, Garrett Pointer races after it, but he's not going to beat it out to Evan Kowalski. But that is a good point, man. I mean, yes, those shorter range shots probably not going to do too much. Like, the players are going to put enough power on it. But you're right, on free kicks, on goal kicks, that wind, I mean, it can take a hold of the ball. We are feeling it here in the booth with the windows out, as that centering kick goes nowhere. It will be off a CUC foot, though, so we are going to get our first corner kick of the day, and it will be coming from the Firebirds.
Really, these free kicks are the opportunity to mainly not just shake up the defense, but headbutt that ball or even kick it and like rainbow kick it style into the goal. This is the perfect opportunity for Carthage just to show the Cougars how offensively strong they are. But again, with the Cougars, this is the time to show how much we improved our defense.
As Carthage elects for a more low-key style corner kick, and that kick, it's still in the box, it's still loose, and the Cougars finally cleared out. And now racing ahead is Tokars, but he's not going to go anywhere, but the Cougars still maintain control. Here's Garrett Pointer, kicks it ahead to Christian Ibarra, and he loses it as well, and the Firebirds, they get control right back. So corner kick goes nowhere for the Firebirds. As a kick ahead, far sideline. And here's a good chance, and he trips over the ball. Oh, my goodness. What an opportunity there.
We may have an injury.
And I believe while we wait on the injury, I believe that it was Mickey Riley for the Firebirds. He was in first team all CCIW last year. He had a beautiful breakaway. I mean, that was just textbook, putting the ball forward, letting your guy go after it. Instead of getting a shot on net or getting a centering pass or something, he ends up with a face full of turf. So good chance there for Riley and the Firebirds, and a very unfortunate event as Riley trips over the ball.
It really seems like speed today is going to be the key factor for both sides on how they're either going to score or win this game.
Yeah, we have seen Carthage. They've had a couple good breaks like that. That was by far their cleanest of the day, but that was not the first time we've seen that far sideline. Mickey Riley, first team all-conference member last year, kind of have a good shot. Here's a good opportunity. That shot, save, Kyle Schultz. Beautiful shot there from Jet Umanji, and Kyle Schultz, the junior goalie, staying in his guard, getting some hands up for the save. That got the crowd fired up. Schultz from Pingree Grove, Illinois, not too far from here, so he always has plenty of family and friends in attendance. So anytime Kyle Schultz makes a save, which we saw a lot of them last year, he saw a lot of shots, crowd always good reaction. Now corner kick here from Carthage. It is Umanji, the shot. It's going to be centering and goes nowhere. There's the ball still loose, and it goes out the back of the pitch. Last touch by the Cougars again, so another corner kick coming up, this time from the far corner, and it will be Mickey Riley to do the deed.
And with these corner kicks, it's really also shaking up your strategies. The first time was just passing around, getting that ball, doing some confusion work, and this last one, and this one too, are just high shots, but we see the wind take that one.
Yeah, that one a little too strong from Mickey Riley. Went over everybody's head. There was a Firebird knocked down as well. He was knocked down by Ronaldo Joseph. No whistle blown, however, so play remains clean as the throw-in from the Cougars. And it's a bad throw-in. Maybe the wind taking effect there. I don't think that ball ever crossed into the field of play.
Well, we're on the Cougars' defensive side. Schultz last year, leading the team in saves, had around a 60% shot saved average, which when the team last year had not the best defensive year, when you have a strong goalie like that, making sure that these shots are not scored, it really improves on the fact and with a new team, that even can go up from here with the stronger defense.
Right, Kyle Schultz, a 60% save percentage on the dot. As I mentioned already, 72 total saves, 843 minutes played. Both of those, all three of those statistics being team highs in the goalkeeper category. So Schultz, you kind of wonder, that's always the question with a goalie on a underwhelming team, is how much of his stats are due to a lackluster defense and how many of them are just due to the goalie play. And from what we've seen of Kyle Schultz today, what we saw of him his freshman year 2 seasons ago, this is a goalie who is very talented, so you kind of tend to lean towards last year, maybe some of those lower statistics, a high GAA, a low save percentage. Maybe that was more due to the team in front of him, as here come the Firebirds. Shot by Riley, just misses the goal. Oh, my goodness. Missed that left pipe by, I would say, less than 3 yards.
Really, with being a good goalie, too, is also your defensive work and how they funnel the ball to you. And last year, like we said, not to keep reiterating on just the defensive as a whole, it was just with low numbers, these guys get tired. And this year, with this huge roster, it allows them to really work on funneling this ball, making sure everyone's healthy and ready to play.
Corner kick here from Umanji, and whistle blown. So whistle blown on Carthage. It'll mean CUC ball. But I think we really saw that last game today with the women's team. Brooke Sheriff had a 10-save shutout, and 10 saves is impressive. She made some very impressive saves, but a big reason that she was able to get that shutout was because, like you said, Van, her defense made her life easier for a lot of the game. They gave her no shots easy, but they gave her routine shots to face. And if Kyle Schultz's defense can do that last year, I think the junior's in for a really, really big season. It's just going to be a question of how quickly can this brand new defense with all these new names kind of put it together. As Carthage working with it on the far sideline, and this ball is heading out the end of the pitch, and it will go out. Last-ditch attempt from the Firebirds was no good, went behind the goal. So CUC will get set for a goal kick.
I think for today, the strategy with these goal kicks is mainly trying to keep it on the ground so it doesn't fly in a way that you don't want it to.
Right. Either do that or you just have to adjust. Now, like, hey, if the ball is getting carried left, I need to kick it some right some more so it ends up where I want it to. As Schultz, a low kick, and that ball ends up about the 40-yard line before the whistle blows. 40-yard line if you want to use the football line markers for assessing placement, even though we are not playing an American football game. We are playing a football game. As now Carthage will get set for a free kick right in front of mid-pitch. You can see how far Carthage is coming up. Their goalie Kowalski is standing on his left foot, his left toe is on the 25-yard line. This back line is all the way up. As here's a deep free kick. Ball takes a bounce, still in the air, and bicycle kick there from Velasquez. Gets it moving the other way. Here's Tokarez. He needs to move around his defender, and he can't. Good defense there by Roland Dearborn. As ball moves back towards Blake Koza, he's handling it with Eli Schofstall, that defensive duo. And now we'll get a whistle blown on Ronaldo Joseph of the Cougars. So another free kick coming up here for the Carthage Firebirds. So
one thing about last year, too, with the Cougars was that hopefully doesn't carry over is just like the physicality and making sure we don't draw these fouls in a way. We just saw one right now for the Cougars, but that's not the identity that the Cougars want this year, especially with this new roster.
Right. This could have been, as the ball is popped up and Schultz comes in to make the grab. Nice aggressive play there from Kyle Schultz, but that is a good point, Van. Of last year was obviously a frustrating year for a lot of reasons. I mean, that's what you expect when you go 0-16, and I think we saw that kind of boil over on the field a lot of just players on this Cougars team getting aggressive. I mean, I believe there was one player on this roster last year who he had to be suspended because he had compiled so many yellow cards. This was an aggressive, physical team, and you're right. Hopefully with maybe more team success that will stop a little bit, but discipline's a huge thing in any sport, but especially soccer where free kicks and goal kicks can be so game-changing. Penalty kicks, I meant to say, not goal kicks. It's going to be pivotal for this young Cougars team, this new Cougars team, to keep things under control. As now we get a whistle blown. I don't think the throw-in was quite where the referee wanted, so Carthage will get a redo at it, which is good because the Cougars were about to turn that one over, or force a turnover, I should say. As Dearborn looks for an open man and he can't find anyone. DeSantiago gets the back of his foot on it, knocks it out.
Really stopping the ball on these throw-ins is like one of the main strategies. Making sure that you can't make these passes in these routes for the Firebirds is what Cougars is capitalizing so far today, which will continue the ball in their way.
Yeah, and we saw it then again there. Jose Garcia, nice header to get him moving the other way. Carthage with control of it now. As good body there. 2 players wiped out on that play.
Continuing off the physicality of just the sport, I think 2 years ago we saw an upperclassman on the women's team break their nose during a game. Just when you're going against a defense too, you guys are right next to each other. Really working on that discipline, like you said, is what the Cougars really need to also capitalize, and also what the upperclassmen from this returning squad, the small amount that they are, need to instill on these incoming players.
Right. Physicality is, of course, a good thing, especially in soccer. I know soccer may get a rep that it's not, too physical, but a lot of those one-on-one battles get really handsy. The players are butting up against each other, trying to body each other off the ball. But like you said, Van, it's about how to do that legally, how to do that without committing fouls. And that was something the Cougars did struggle with last year, as they hope to improve upon that this year. As that ball launched all the way down, that's going to be a foot race, and looks like Carthage with Dearborn will win it, and he's just going to boot it out of bounds. He had a Cougar in number 23 coming off the bench, Xavier Avila, freshman out of Berwyn, which is very, very close to here in River Forest. As that ball is going to be butted around, and now booted down. Another header there from Garcia. How about another header, as this game's being played more up in the air right now than on the ground. Now the ball is on the ground, and here goes DeSantiago. DeSantiago leaves it ahead for Joseph. Can he beat the ball before it goes out of bounds? He does. DeSantiago centering kick, and it's head-butted out of the box by Carthage, and now this ball sent down. Cougars trying to get control back as Velasquez fighting for it, gives it to DeSantiago, and DeSantiago launches it right off a defender and out of bounds.
Cougars in condensed right now. They really need to work it to the other side of the field and make sure they can find that opening.
Yeah, in terms of shots, CUC only one right now. It was on goal. Kowalski making the save. Kowalski and Schultz both credited with one save right now. Schultz's save was a beautiful, basically point blank save. As this ball is loose, it's in the center, and it's put towards the net. Kind of a weird angle off a header from Christian Ibarra. And Kowalski making the grab. Don't know if they'll credit that as a save or not, but he gets his Firebirds going the other way. 18 and a half minutes to go here in the first half. 45-minute halves comprise the regulation period. As getting set for the throw-in is Giovanni Velasquez, senior out of Cicero. Now we get some whistles. I believe they're telling Velasquez to back up. Trying to inch forward on the throw-in. gets no such love from the referee. And whistle blown on Joseph. He brought his man down. As the Firebirds, quick restart here. They want to get moving. And here goes Mickey Riley. Riley in. Riley will get the shot off. Blocked there by Garcia, but Riley gets his own rebound and now pushed off the ball by Joseph. And I don't hear any whistle. It looked like that was a pretty blatant push by Joseph, but the refs let the boys play on. As now we have a Firebird down on the near sideline, and that one looks very unfortunate as he's laying on the ground, and now we get a whistle stoppage. Let's just say if what I think happened, that one's painful to watch as he is still on the ground. Now we get some trainers coming over. So we're going to take a break while the trainers come in and check on the Firebird on the ground. And when we come back, we'll have more soccer action for you. CUC men's soccer taking on the Firebirds of Carthage. We are all tied up at 0-0. 17-16 left to go in the first half. We'll have more for you in just a second on the Cougar Sports Network. So Roland Dearborn has made his way off the field, or still making his way off the field, excuse me. He's right off the sideline now as he finally steps onto the track. He makes his way off, so we will get ready to resume play here. CUC Firebirds, no score just yet, as it has been mostly the Firebirds. 6 shots, 2 of which have found their way to the goal. Meanwhile, CUC 1 shot, which was a shot on goal. Kowalski, the junior keep for the Firebirds, making the save.
As we spoke before, really passing this ball, moving this ball, but also speed with the Firebirds right now. They've been really focusing not just on passing the ball, but how quickly they could get down to the other side of the field to score and create these opportunities to score.
Yeah, this is so far what's looked like a fast Firebirds team, especially that far sideline with Mickey Riley, last year's second team all-conference member. He's had some pretty good lightning fast sprints to get ahead. Nothing to show for it just yet. Meanwhile, checking in for Dearborn is number 26. Waiting on confirmation for who that is. We do not have a 26 on Carthage's roster, so you'll have to wait for that one to go into our stat book to figure out who checked in for Dearborn leaving the field of play. As handling the ball there was number 25. That is Adrian Adanazov. Adanazov hands it over to number 26. Who is in the stat book as Ben Neighbor. So who on our roster is listed as number 22. As back on the field of play, here's a good move, and quickly losing it was Xavier Avila. And now here's a shot and a save by Kowalski. Excellent chance there from the combination of Avila as well as Christian Ibarra. They were in the center of the field and just couldn't get anything out of it. They will get a throw in here as another Firebird is having some difficulties getting up. And still in a crouch is number 12. That is Dominic Gadolinsky, as he's got his right sock rolled all the way down as he's standing up. I think he must have got hit there or something, just shaking up on the play as he's walking it off now, giving it a couple of leg kicks to get back in the swing of things, as now we get set. Whistles do blow all over the field, though, and a couple of CUC substitutions coming in. And trying to pick up the numbers here. Two white jerseys off, two on. One of the new subs for CUC is number 10, the senior Spencer Nicholson. And still looking to make out the other jersey on the field for the Cougars. As here comes Garcia. Garcia pops it up, and ball headed towards mid-pitch. Less than 15 minutes to go here in regulation, and a collision there. And now a yellow card will be issued to Garcia of CUC. Took down, if my memory serves me correctly, number 8, Jordan Mock. He had that, as Van mentioned at the top of the broadcast, he had the assist on Carthage's lone goal on Friday against Dominican. Free kick coming up here for the Firebirds. And the kick is going to head all the way to the CUC goal. Schultz comes up and makes the grab. And that other Cougar who checked in with Nicholson just found out, Michael Sinise checking in. Freshman from Naperville. Making his CUC debut. And then Garcia, as we heard over the PA system, flagged with the yellow card. As that ball goes out, last touch by Carthage, excuse me. So throw-in coming up here for the Cougars. Here's the throw-in. All kicked around, and a couple bodies hit the floor. Both of them red Carthage players. So free kick coming up here for the Firebirds. See what they could do on this one. They've had quite a few today already. And it looks like they're going to try and cause some confusion here. They got 3 players in the vicinity. 2 of them are facing the ball. And now they do a little synchronized maneuver to break out. Trying to throw off the Cougars, as here comes the free kick. It's going to be towards the net, a header, and it's over the net. A beautiful header, and it bounced over the net.
It just hit a different portion, like an inch differently of their head. That would have been a beautiful shot.
That or if it hit like a couple inches forward on the turf, it would have gone into the top of the net. But instead, as Van said, a game of inches, just misses, just goes over the crossbar. But Van, something I do want to highlight is how effective Carthage's free kicks have been so far today. I mean, every time it seems they get a free kick, as here's a less dangerous shot put on goal by the Cougars. Kowalski, no problem handling. But every time the Carthage Firebirds, they get a free kick, not only do they put it towards Kyle Schultz in the Cougars' goal, it usually turns into a really good chance for the Firebirds. So this is something the Cougars are really going to have to look out for, is giving the Firebirds those free opportunities in the free kicks.
And especially switching it up, like we see with the corner kicks and these free kicks, that they're not just doing the same play each time and trying to get the ball in. They're passing it. They're having people weave in. They're doing different shots, different routes, different styles to headbutt it in, and doing bicycle kicks too, to really like switch up the defense for the Cougars.
Yeah, Carthage has plenty of tricks up their sleeves, as you would expect out of a team who was one win away from an NCAA tournament appearance last year under third-year head coach, Paul Lease, who has had plenty of experience in his career. Even before getting to Carthage, he was assistant with New Mexico United, head coach of University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, a head coach at Coker College, where he won 4 conference titles. He was an assistant at big schools like Coastal Carolina, Furman, and Elon. So this is a coach who only has been at Carthage for 3 years, but brings in a wealth of experience, as this ball leaves the end of the pitch, and now Coach Lisa's team will have a chance to get a goal kickoff here.
And with that wealth of experience, there's a lot of guys that played under him for those 3 years and also are returners. So that building with that and using that programming and that scheming, it helps really to shake up the other team's defense just because they worked together for these past 3 years.
Right, they have so much chemistry, as we're going to do the yellow card issued on the Cougars. And if it is who the ref is currently talking to, well, we got one of two candidates. That will either be Spencer Nicholson. I believe he's the culprit. The ref was also having some words with Justin Ocampo, number 28. So we'll have to get some clarification on whether it's Nicholson or Ocampo. But you look at, going back to Vance's point about Coach Lease, you look at some of his heavy hitters on this team. It was Justin Ocampo with the yellow card. Nick Renfro, midfielder, he's a graduate student. You look at Aiden Crowder, who was, reigning offensive player of the year, who is not playing today. I can't believe we haven't mentioned that yet. He was not in the starting lineup. Aiden Crowder is a senior, so this is a team who they have a lot of those older players who not only are upperclassmen, but they're coming back for their 5th years. Guys like Mickey Riley, he's a graduate student as well. So that's where all that experience comes from. Is here comes Umanji. He gets a shot, and it takes a weird bounce. I believe a Cougar got a foot on it, as Kyle Schultz immediately gets play going the other way. And that ball, Spencer Nicholson avoiding a diving Ben Neighbor, as the ball safely makes its way back to Kowalski. A very quick series of events there. I do like the aggressiveness of Kyle Schultz, as good play there. Julian Yanez reaching into the cookie jar, causes a turnover. About as clean a pick as you can get. Yanez now tries some fancy footwork and gets nothing out of it, as it goes out of bounds off his foot.
With this turf, our field is going to be redone next year, so really this old turf, and there's divots, spots that are not perfect, which causes some issues, but in our favor right now, especially for Schultz on that save.
As Ocampo had a good look, it was knocked away, and Van is right. This turf here at Concordia Stadium is, it's an older turf. It does need some renovation, some work, because there are plenty of divots all over the field. There's some almost pothole-like features to the field, which can be a good thing for the Cougars, like Van said, they play on this turf. They practice on this turf every single day. They know its little quirks, its little, unique features. Opposing teams like Carthage, who, they don't play here at CUC regularly. They don't play here every year. That's going to be something they come to grasps with, as we might have a pretty good-looking free kick for the Cougars here. Whistle blows. Ocampo was knocked to the ground right outside Carthage's box, as now the referee having some words with Carthage, and a yellow card will be issued to the Firebirds. That will be number 3 we've seen on the day. So while they figure this out, Cougars will get a really nice free kick, and they're going to let, of course, their heavy gunner, Garrett Pointer, do it. While they set that up, some history, these two teams have played each other 3 times historically. Carthage has won all 3 times, but they haven't played since 2004. Carthage won that game at Carthage 4-0. Last time the teams played here at CUC was 2003, a 7-2 win for Carthage. So here comes Garrett Pointer now in today's game. An awesome free kick opportunity. Dominic Gadolinsky issued the yellow card for the Firebirds, number 12 in red. Here it comes Pointer. Derek Pointer gets set. Pointer and the shot, and it doesn't get through the wall of Carthage players. Great defensive wall there by Carthage, and you could see Pointer is disappointed with himself. And, you know, Van, I think he has a kind of a right to be like, you have that wall of players, and it's tough to get it past. I'm not saying it's easy or not, but if you're the free kicker, especially when you're that close to the goal as Pointer was, you got to at least get it past the wall. You got to get it towards the goal and hope that either not only hope that you score, but maybe that your offense can make something out of a rebound or something. When your free kick gets buried into the wall of players, you really get nothing out of that.
It looked like he tried to hook it high, and it just hit the wrong part of his foot, and it just continued in the ground. So that wall didn't even have to really move or jump or do anything.
So maybe a missed opportunity there, as now we'll get another whistle, and I think we'll be getting another yellow card, and we will. This one on the Cougars. Julian Yanez committing the crime as he jumped into another player from behind. It looked like they were both jumping for an air ball, so maybe not the most, egregious thing you've ever seen, but the referee's giving it the yellow flag. As we are experiencing some strong winds up here, so if you hear any audio distortion, that is the reason for. As now things may be calming down a little bit. It has been windy all day, like Van said. That's really been the only blight on what's been a beautiful day is the wind has been very strong, but it is keeping things nice and cool on the positive side.
Especially after a heat wave that we just had in the Chicagoland area.
As here comes Umanji, a great chance here, and Kyle Schultz, what a play. Kyle Schultz coming out and covering the ball. Umanji, again, like Van said, Carthage has been using their speed really well today, and plays like that are a good example of it, but credit Kyle Schultz. It wasn't a save, but he came out and made a very aggressive play to grab that ball.
Seems like speed is the key tactic of what Carthage was really scouting out for. Is one thing that they know that they can control is just how fast they move that ball, and it has been paying off just for the ability to get that free shot. However, our defense and our goalie have really been giving them a run for their money.
And you kind of wonder if maybe that's a sign of Carthage thinking this was last year's Cougars, as this ball is racing towards the corner. Carthage is going to save it. So before we get to that point, Carthage is going to have a good opportunity there, and it's headed out by Julian Yanez. But you wonder maybe if Carthage, because this Cougars team last year could look a little sluggish, as that shot is blocked by Velasquez. Last year's team could look a little sluggish, not because of the quality of athlete on the field, but it was because of how much each athlete was playing. It was a very short bench, so by the end of the game, Cougars players, as good a shape as they were in, they were just gassed at that point. And so maybe Carthage saw them and was like, well, we can use our speed to beat the Cougars, but this is not last year's Cougars, as they look much more, I don't want to say athletic, but much more well-rested thanks to the wealth of bench players they have.
It was one of the key advantages of not having players that have been seen before on the field is that they don't have these stats, they don't have these numbers, and it's just hard to scout.
And Carthage player pushed down by Ronaldo Joseph. No whistle blown. Carthage not happy with the no call. As the refs have been allowing some physicality today. To a degree, of course, we have seen several yellow cards on the Cougars. They have 4 in total: Yanez, Garcia, Velasquez, and Ocampo.
We might have jinxed that when we started talking about physicality. But these Cougars really are looking for a way just to get that ball in their possession and keep passing and moving it, because they're using a different strategy compared to speed.
Yeah, they are a little bit more possession focused. Let's get the ball in. And really, they've been trying to utilize the ball handling skills of players like Garrett Pointer, of getting those, as weird as it is to say in soccer, it's much more of a basketball idea, getting those ISO matchups and just letting Pointer go to work and try to dribble around his man for either a pass or a shot or something. That's been what they're trying to do with guys like Pointer or even Philip Tokars in the corner. And it hasn't worked just yet, as CUC 3 shots on goal so far, nothing to show for it, as Di Santiago pushes this one ahead. And a physical play there, and now whistle blows. That was Xavier Avia, excuse me. So, and used to pronouncing all the new names on this Cougars roster. Again, 27 new faces for CUC this year, and Coach Callahan's second year at the helm. So plenty of new names to get familiar with, as we will as the season goes on. As there's a good ball, and rushing ahead for it are the Cougars. And here's a shot. It's in the goal! CUC takes a 1-0 lead. They strike first. Fantastic ball, and then a great individual effort to race and get that ball, as we are still waiting to see the goal scorer. But CUC, they are up 1-0, 3:56 left to go here in the first half, as the goal scorer for CUC, number 37, Michael Sinise, the freshman in his first collegiate game, makes his mark for CUC. Sinise has been playing on the far side of the field up here in the booth. It's a little hard to see that far, and we are just able to make out his number. So Michael Sinise, the freshman out of Naperville, gives his squad a 1-0 lead with less than 4 minutes to go here. And the Cougars, they're up 1-0 over the Carthage Firebirds.
Really, as you were saying, that ISO in basketball terms was really what gave that Cougars that opportunity. They isolated Sinise, which allowed him to really shoot that shot, mainly like from if we were playing basketball from like that 3-point range.
Yeah, and it was, again, another play, as here comes the Firebirds. They're quick to get deep into the Cougar zone, as here's a ball, and that ball stopped. Gadalinski, the ball is still in the box, and Omanji just whiffs on it. Omanji had to do a little whip around to get a good angle on that shot, and it was just a bad shot, just a bad hit off the foot. Didn't go anywhere towards the net, so goal kick, free kick, I think, actually, for Kyle Schultz coming up. But talking about the one-on-one play for CUC, that play started because Garrett Pointer, who we were just talking about, had the ball. He was able to dish it into the far side corner, and then it was just a one-on-one foot race between Sinise and his defender to get there. Sinise won it out, and like you said, Van, it was just him and his opponent, and Sinise able to get that shot off and bury it into the back of the net, beat Kowalski for the first time today, and the Cougars looking at a 1-0 lead, 3:06 left to go here in the first half.
It's not always about how many shots you take, but the effectiveness of your shots. And really, it looks like that shot specifically shook up the Firebirds as they scrambled for that last shot in that around the goal.
Yeah, so the Firebirds might be a little shocked here, honestly, as CUC, almost a good ball to Garrett Pointer, but right in the way of that was the Firebirds defender. As now here comes a chance for the Firebirds, and it is going to be cleared out. Good play there by Alexander Lehovitz to keep the Cougars in front. But I think we're kind of seeing the Firebirds caught off guard here. I mean, they came in. This is a team. They made a run to the conference championship game last year. They have a very experienced and successful head coach. They have multiple all-conference players, conference offensive player of the year, Nathan Crowder, who we haven't seen today. And they're coming into the Cougars team, who was 0-16 last year. They have not won a game since, as I'm looking, October 19th in 2022. So this is a team who's had some struggles since that season. And all of a sudden, they have a 1-0 lead as Kyle Schultz hands that ball away. The Firebirds aren't able to put it back towards the net, but it goes out. So goal kick coming up here for CUC. All that to say, I think the Firebirds are caught a little off guard here about just how competitive this Cougars team is, a team who really, really struggled to do much of anything last year.
Coming from a team that had a small roster, like these new players are just as hungry as these older players, wanting to scrimmage, wanting to play. They really want it. Coming from a season that didn't go their way last year, they really just want to just play and win and scrimmage and just work with each other and just do new things that didn't really work out for them last year.
Yeah, and I think part of that hungerness comes from the fact of, obviously the younger guys, they get in here, they want to play, right? They want to make their mark immediately. And for those older guys, they know that they were part of a team that went 0-16 last year. You have this wealth of new players coming in. They got to fight for their spots. Like, no one's spot is really secure on this team, besides maybe your Garrett Pointers, who are really good offensive players. Like, no one's spot is super secure on this team after what happened last year and after how many new players came into the mix this season. So everybody's got that motivation. The younger guys want to leave their mark. They were brought here for a reason. Those older guys, they don't want to be usurped by those younger players. So really interesting dynamic on this Cougars team this year, and we're already seeing that today as we will have a throw-in here for the Carthage Firebirds. Like Hovid thought it would be for him and the Cougars. Instead, the Firebirds are issued it with 20 seconds to go here in the first half. Ball is popped up, and a header there by Garcia. He gets knocked down because of it. Yanez, he pops the ball up as well. And there's a high header from number 25, Adrian Atanasov, as now we have 5 seconds to go here in the first half. And I think this play is just going to be dirtied up, and Lehovitz sends one more ball down. And that'll do it for the first half. So a CUC team who, coming off an 0-16 year, have not won since October of 2022, are looking for their first win of the season, and they are off to a good note. A 1-0 first half over the Carthage Firebirds. We're going to take a break here on the broadcast, and when we come back, we will have the final 45 minutes of regulation for you. CUC on top of Carthage, 1-0. Don't go anywhere just yet. We'll be back on the Cougar Sports Network in just a second.
Chicago is a Christ-centered Lutheran university where truth, freedom, and vocation form students for lives of influence and service for the common good. Our university offers a wide variety of undergraduate and graduate degree options that are available in person and online. That means we have a program designed for you. Whether you're a high school student, an adult returning to complete your degree, or someone looking to enhance your credentials and prepare for career growth. As a member of this university community, you'll also find support in your spiritual and personal life so you can grow in the faith and discover ways to serve others. To start your next journey with us, visit cuchicago.edu today.
Welcome back to the Cougar Sports Network as we get set for second half action in today's men's soccer game between New York Concordia University Chicago Cougars and the visiting Firebirds of Carthage College. Peter Borkowski back on the Cougar Sports Network, joined once again by Van Gato. And Van, what a difference one offseason seems to make. In the first 45 minutes of the season for CUC, they look like a drastically different ball club than what we saw last year. They had good possessions, they had good ball movements, their players looked quick and refreshed, and I think the story of that first half, especially for Carthage, and you can talk about this a bit more, is just how unexpected it was for Carthage. This is a team, Carthage, with a lot of pedigree, a lot of experience, a lot of success under head coach Paul Lease, and I think they just were caught off guard of how different and how new and how exciting this young Cougars team is.
One of the ways is not really using Crowder, who is one of the main offensive players for the Firebirds, and just using last year's record as one way to gauge what they're going to do, mainly having a fast offense because they thought that using the Cougars' defense wasn't as strong. In comparison, on the defensive side, they weren't expecting like Michael Sinise to get his first goal and like really how they would incorporate these new players with the previous players' styles like Pointner's, who has great ball handling and a heavy foot.
Yeah, and I think you bring up Aiden Crowder. We've only seen 21 minutes of him today. This was the CCIW Offensive Player of the Year. And, of course, we don't know. Maybe he got banged up. He is on the field right now. You can see number 21 on the near side. Maybe he was banged up on Friday against Dominican. He got the only goal in that game. Like, you would expect him to be a focal point of this team. He is a focal point of this team. I haven't had to call his name once today because he hasn't really contributed much. And so far in the stat book, 21 minutes, he's been called for one foul. That's all he has under his name right now. So, and I think that just goes to show, yes, the CUC offense has been getting chances, but their defense has been really, really good so far. They've only allowed one shot on goal. Kyle Schultz made a brilliant save. I think that was just kind of a tone setter. So I am interested to see as this second half kicks off with Carthage, as there's Crowder with the ball now, what halftime adjustments did Coach Elise make with this squad, right? He's seen a half of this new look Cougars now. So is Carthage, who was maybe caught off guard in that first half, are they ready to really come out and play in the second half and make those adjustments they need to? Or is this really going to be a good showcase of what this new Cougars team can do? And it wasn't just a case of not being ready for the unexpected, but the Cougars just being the better team of the two teams here today.
And they were really using this game probably to gauge like their new players on the Carthage team and allowing other people to get new minutes as they can. Because the Cougars really didn't have that like big presence as they did last year, they really thought that, hey, this is a team that we could kind of try new things on. Even though we have some players from last year on the field, we're giving these new people these new minutes.
Yeah, and obviously it's non-con. You still want to win, but that's kind of what non-conference games are for, especially these first couple ones. This is just Carthage's second game of the year of, like you said, Van, figuring some stuff out. Yes, we have those returners like Nick Renfro. Yes, we have those players like Mickey Riley back for Carthage, but Carthage also has a ton of new players as well. So, as you said, maybe they thought this would be a good chance to kind of get some new faces, see what Coach Lease and his staff has in these new players, and instead the Cougars came out and looked very competitive as that header from Sinise goes nowhere. Another header by Yanez is grabbed by Kowalski, who falls down to secure the rebound, and he will get his Firebird started the other way. CUC less than 45 minutes away from winning their first game since October 19th, 2022. Still a long ways to go. We still have over 42 minutes of action to play, but that first half, as I mentioned, showed so many improvements already over what this squad was last year, and a big reason for that is Michael Sinise, who handled the ball there. He has the lone goal in today's game. Spencer Nicholson gets pushed off the ball, still fighting for it as here's Umanje. Good ball to Crowder. Crowder couldn't really get much on it before losing it.
The Firebirds continuing with that strategy with launching that ball up as quick as possible and trying to get the ball to their really powerful scorers.
Yeah, I am interested to see if we see more of Crowder in this second half. Aiden Crowder, again, I didn't have to call his name once in the first half other than talking about just his absence from the game, really, in terms of not only playing just 21 minutes in that first half, but not really doing much with it other than committing one foul. So we'll see if Paul Lease came up with what he cooked up during halftime to maybe get his heavy hitter in Aiden Crowder, last year's CCIW Offensive Player of the Year, maybe some more touches, maybe some more looks at the goal as this ball goes out the end of the pitch, and it'll be a goal kick coming up here for Kyle Schultz and the Cougars.
And they keep working that. Like, instantly we see the ball from Mock into Crowder and trying to get that goal in, trying to get a chance to even score. Although the Cougars really stopped that effort right in its tracks, Crowder really is the one that they've kind of been setting up in this first couple minutes to try to get this first goal for the Firebirds.
As Garrett Pointer heads one out of bounds past the Firebird bench. So throwing coming up here for Juan Ramirez and the Firebirds. Ramirez, a sophomore out of Colorado, making the journey all the way to Kenosha, Wisconsin, where Carthage College is located. And now we get a whistle blown by the refs. It'll be a turnover. Carthage will give the ball up. It'll be a throw-in right in front of the Carthage bench. Not sure what the call was, but Cougars, the throw-in from Yanez coming up now. Over a couple heads. And good block there by Pointer. Garrett Pointer now deals with it on the far sideline, loses it, knocked out last touch by a red jersey. So throw in here for CUC. Ball knocked up. There's Spencer Nicholson. He'll keep it in the air. Another kick up in the air, this time by Carthage. And that ball still with some airtime. Garrett Pointer handles it now. Dishes it ahead. Racing for it are the Cougars. They cannot keep it in bounds. Goes out the back of the pitch.
Seems like the Cougars are using a similar strategy that they used for the last half, is just really trying to isolate and pass the ball, move the ball, setting up the offense to score these goals.
And that ball kicked towards the Cougars' half of the pitch as that ball headed out by Velasquez over Aiden Crowder. Velasquez had to go up for it and prevents the top goal scorer for Carthage from getting any possession, as now they wait for the throw-in from number 23. That was Damian Trzecki. As that ball out again. So a throw-in now for CUC. And it'll be a free kick, in fact, as a flag issued on Carthage. Velasquez letting his team get set before the free kick. As now he'll kick this one off. Header. Ball still up in the air. Another header. And now it works towards the far sideline. A high kick, and that's going to go way out of bounds. As I think that might even leave the football. Nope, stays on the football track. The track around the football field. Lands in the high jump, the pole vaulting, I should say, practice pad. So a brief break here while everyone gets set for a throw-in.
The Firebirds, to ultimately, on the other end, try to outscore the Cougars right now, need to switch up this strategy. These fast breaks, these just not really isolating, but pushing the ball as fast as they can up the field like they are doing right now. Trying to get it to Crowder. It's really not being as effective as they want it to be.
Now as Carthage trying to get out of their own half of the pitch, they will. Here's Jet Umanji, pushes it forward. It's going to be a foot race. It'll be won by Carthage. Dealing with it now is Emmett Hansen. Hansen centers it, and that ball is going to keep rolling past the net. It was looking to get to Crowder, and just can't, as good job there by Sinise to keep it in. Carthage does get control back, however. As here is Jordan Mock. Mock finds Umanji, who gets it over. Here's Hansen. Emmett Hansen, he'll put one towards the net. It's in! Emmett Hansen sets up, lets it rip, and Carthage, they have their first goal of the game, and we are all knotted up at 1 apiece, and that's really, Van, it's not the first good look Carthage has gotten today, but it was one of their better ones in terms of Hansen had all the shooting space he really wanted. That's where Cougars have been really good defensively, is limiting that open space for guys like Hansen to just rip shots like that. But Hansen, he got himself the free space. No Cougar defender was really in the vicinity in time. And Hansen, all he had to do was put that one on net. Great shot, too, as Kyle Schultz really didn't even react to it. And because of it, we are knotted up at 1 apiece.
They were really trying to find that space, not using, like we said, this speed as their strategy, really passing the ball, moving the ball around, taking a different approach, and that approach finally worked for the Firebirds.
As Jet Umanji was knocked down by Velasquez, they give the ball to Velasquez for a throw-in, and I think we saw Jet Umanji share some words with Velasquez. We talked about some of the undisciplined physicality. Is that ball, watch out, in the stands? I think it cleared the stands. That was off the foot of Eli Schaufstall, who was just trying to clear it, and I don't see any fan throwing it back in, so I'm pretty sure that ball is currently behind the bleachers here at Concordia Stadium. So heads up in the crowd, as we might be down a ball for the rest of the game unless someone goes back to find it. As here come the Firebirds. Crowder, a nice touch to the far sideline for Jordan Mock. The Mock to Crowder connection was what led the Firebirds to their first goal of the season on Friday. As here's a centering ball. Cougars able to knock it away. That was Lehovitz. Alexander Lehovitz Jr. out of Chicago.
Also for the Firebirds, it seems like that unsteady and like confusion and that shaken up ability that they were playing with towards the end of the first half has been lifted as they try to really focus and recenter during the second half, during that time to reflect.
As Schultz pushes the ball away, might have had a chance to grab it. Instead, he elects to just shove the ball away from the box. But yeah, I think that's a good point, as this ball is centered towards the goal. Umanji got a piece of it, and it just lands at the hands of Kyle Schultz. And that's a good kick by Schultz. It's going all the way down the pitch. But the halftime adjustments are going to be huge to watch from Coach Elise and the Firebirds. Again, maybe caught a little off guard by this new look Cougars in the first half. And they had the 15-minute halftime period to reset, kind of look over what went well, what didn't in that first half, and see if they can make the proper adjustments to get a win here. As Elias Di Santiago and some players get tied up, they're going to blow the whistle foul on the Firebirds. So good free kick opportunity here for CUC within the 25-yard line.
The Cougars can really use this opportunity to create some space to score and create some confusion. We've seen like they weren't as effective in the previous free kicks that they just did during this game.
CUC trying to end a long losing streak as this ball lands at the hands of Kowalski. He then kind of had to butt it down. It looked like it might have trickled into goal, but he's able to get control of it. I believe Kowalski was on the goal line. As we're under 34 minutes away from regulation ending. As here's a kick from Nicholson. That misses wide. Spencer Nicholson a little frustrated. He wasn't able to get that one on goal. Goal kick coming up for Kowalski. This is Kowalski's first season as a starter, played in his first career game on Friday. The junior getting a chance to make his presence known in goal for Carthage. Got the 4-save shutout on Friday, and so far in this game, 5 saves, 1 goal allowed, as he's trying to go 2-0 to start his Firebirds career as a starter. Here's Renfro, dishes it over, far sideline. Firebirds put this one up. Schultz gets up there to make the stop. Got his hands in front of it, knocks it down. And now he'll take some time to reset himself as well as give his teammates a chance to break out to receive the kick. As he drop kicks it, a high drop kick. It's going to go well over mid-pitch. And stumbling into a header was Damian Drzwecki. Ball's still loose as this ball is now in the possession of Ocampo. Justin Ocampo out of Melrose Park, Illinois. And that ball butted down Crowder just over his head. Crowder would have had a good breakaway chance there, but the ball took a bounce and he just went right under it. Ball being batted around near far sideline. Firebirds back in control of it. Now Crowder works with it, gives it away. Here comes Emmett Hansen. Hansen dribbling, tripped up, and whistles blow. So we should have a free kick coming up. We will. And a good opportunity here for Hansen.
For the Firebirds, really the aspect of just confusion and doing different plays is what their been strategy for these free kicks and corner kicks. So it'll be cool to see what kind of route they really run, and if it's going to be a pass, just a straight free kick into the goal, or just a headbutt in. Wonder what we'll see.
So it'll be Hansen and Eli Schofstall around the ball. We'll have to see who ends up taking the free kick. You would think it'd have to be Hansen. He did score the goal. But the Cougars will have to figure that out too. Hansen and Schofstall. And it will be Schofstall. The shot towards the net is off and ends up behind the net. So free kick goes nowhere for Carthage, and now Kyle Schultz will get set for the goal kick. Schultz taking his time for the goal kick. The Cougars maybe trying to play the clock a little bit here, not give Carthage too much time. As good kick there by Velasquez to get that ball away from Crowder. As now there's almost a pickoff attempt by Mickey Riley. Ball down. Here's Yanez. And there's Riley. Riley now rushing for it. Riley loses it, gets control. Riley puts a shot on, and that ball hits off the right pipe. Ball still loose. Good clear by Lehovitz. And play is still going on, and now it's whistled. The far side ref had his flag up in the air and is now pointing towards the corner. So we will have a corner kick coming up for Carthage. The ball hit off the right pipe. I think they're saying that it went out after that. Excuse me, I did misspeak earlier. It is Mickey Riley who has the goal for Carthage, not Emmett Hansen. So Riley had the equalizing goal. Mickey Riley showing why he was an all-conference member last season with the Firebirds. have a corner kick, excuse me. And here goes Riley, the corner kick. It's blocked by Garcia. Header by Carthage, another header. And Crowder, that ball I believe was blocked by Velasquez. And it goes out of bounds because of it, so throw-in coming up here for Carthage.
The Firebirds really didn't create enough space to provide that shot to be able to go in or just even set it up. They really just were passing it along, hoping that they had a sliver of an inch to get that ball through.
Throw-in works its way to the center of the goal. Nothing comes of it yet. A couple players go up. It was number 20 in white, Vicente Romero, and now we got a Cougar down on the ground, and a yellow card will be issued to Jordan Mock of Carthage. He knocked down number 21 for CUC, Bernardo Delgado. As the referee makes some notes in his little pocketbook, and we'll now get set for the Giovanni Velasquez free kick. Velasquez gets set. Velasquez the kick. This one is a long shot down the pitch and headed away from Carthage's goal by a Firebird. As now there's a physical fight for the ball. Carthage does come away with it. They got some numbers moving up the field. This ball put ahead and way too far as there's Kyle Schultz to grab it. Aiden Crowder not even close to getting a touch on it. Here comes Lahovitz. Lahovitz puts it up ahead, and same story going the other way. Too far ahead for Vicente Romero. And it'll be Kowalski with the ball. Ball knocked over. Here's Drzwecki. Ends it back. Ball in the middle now. Carthage has got to be careful. Cougars are putting a lot of pressure on offensively. Ball far sideline. Firebirds dribble with it. Good sliding play there by a Cougar. There's number 6, Jose Garcia. And now a whistle will be blown. Garcia kind of pushes player over. And the referee is going to issue a yellow card. Garcia, yellow card number 2 on the day. As maybe we're seeing some of those discipline issues that we've been mentioning throughout the broadcast from last year kind of rear their head again. As that will be yellow card number 5 on the day for the Cougars, number 2 for Garcia.
Both sides are really struggling with trying to build this lead after both of them have scored this goal. Both of them really want it today, trying to prove themselves to each other, proving the Carthage, trying to prove themselves that they're a strong team coming from last year and how they almost won their conference championship but ended up losing. And for the Cougars, trying to prove themselves as they did not do so high, trying to show that they can compete and be one of the top teams in D3 soccer.
And I think one of the other goals is obviously, yes, they want to win. And just in the little interaction I have had with Coach Brad Callahan, working on the preview article for Carthage, he thinks that this is a team, quality-wise, who's capable of winning this conference, which, that'd be a big jump, going 13th to 1st in one season. And, of course, anything is possible, but Coach Callahan is really confident in the team. He pulled it together, but I think it's not even just starting to win games. It's about being competitive in games. As this ball is knocked away from the box, Carthage does still control it, however, because, I talk about being competitive. This was a Cougars team who last year they had the worst scoring margin in the NAC conference. They gave up the most goals. They scored the fewest goals. They were not in a lot of the games, so that would be an improvement in its own right of just saying that, hey, we can keep up. We, the Cougars, can keep up with some of these higher-level teams like Carthage. And once you get into conference play, teams like Aurora, teams like Dominican down the street, these really good teams that, the Cougars can kind of look in the mirror and say, hey, maybe we're not winning all of these games. Maybe that's still a year or two off, depending on what this young team looks like. But we can at least stay in these games competitively, which was not the case a lot of the time last year. And if this first game's anything to go by, that's a strong case saying that the Cougars are keeping up with a conference runner-up in Carthage. As the ball is still up in the air, Kyle Schultz trying to corral it, finally does. As that was looking disastrous for a minute. That ball spent a lot of time up in the air. But Kyle Schultz eventually able to come down with it.
And one thing looking up for the Cougars anyways, compared to the Dominican Stars, the Cougars were able to score a goal against these Firebirds, which gives them the opportunity to think, wow, we can really compete with these other teams in our conference.
Yeah, that is a good point. That Dominican, as good as they were, and they have some very, very talented players down the street at Dominican University, as good as Dominican is, they were not able to put up a goal against this Carthage team. And as Vance said, that has already changed here in this game for CUC. As Dominican, they finished third in the conference last season. They were the NAC tournament champions. They found their way to the NCAA tournament. They were up there with teams like Aurora, teams like the Milwaukee School of Engineering, St. Norbert College. Those were kind of the four. Those were the four top teams. They were the four teams in the NAC who were above 500 in conference play. So those are kind of the teams, Aurora, MSOE, Dominican, St. Norbert, that CUC's really got to have circled on their NAC schedule of. These are really darn good teams. And if anything is to go by with this Carthage game, CUC could be in for a season of at least remaining competitive with those teams, again, as opposed to last year where that really wasn't the case.
And we talked a lot about just establishing CUC's narrative, what team they're going to be, and just building on conference play alone and using these non-conference games to kind of gauge where they're at within conference, but also build that identity so that they can prove themselves slowly, if it's even just a couple wins this season, if that's how the cookie crumbles or the cards fall. Whatever deck they are given, whatever they take, how they build on that and how they win the most they can.
It's all about improvement. A year where you finish worse in the conference, it's all about how are we going to get better the next year? How are the Cougars going to get better next year? That's the question Coach Callahan, I'm sure, has been asking himself all offseason, and part of his solution was to bring in 27 new faces for the Cougars. And if, again, that first half and the first half of the second half is anything to go by, this team looks much improved already over what we saw last year. As here goes Crowder. He's one-on-one with Velasquez. Aiden Crowder gets some space. Crowder, a shot and a goal. Aiden Crowder showing why he was Offensive Player of the Year last year for Carthage. Van, we've been talking about one-on-one battles all day with players like Garrett Pointer. That was just a masterclass in how to win a battle from Aiden Crowder. It was him and his defender. Crowder used his speed to get by him, got himself in a good shooting position, and he gives his Firebirds a 2-1 lead.
For the Firebirds, speed is one of their main contributions to this game and one of the things that they do the best. And Crowder is, like you said, just has a master class on making sure he can establish those one-on-ones, create those space for himself, and honestly outrun the competition, which makes him an overall offensive threat.
Yeah, you look at Crowder's career statistics coming into today, so this includes the Dominican game. 61 games played, 51 of which were starts, 31 goals scored, including 18 last year in 19 games. So he's at a roughly goal per game pace, and he is at a goal per game pace right now. He's got a goal on Friday against Dominican, and he's got a goal today against CUC, and he's got his Firebirds a 2-1 lead over the Cougars. As now CUC, who spent a large majority of the game on top of the Firebirds by a goal, now find themselves down to the Firebirds by a goal, which means this defense and offense have to find some solutions to get back in this one. As that ball, almost a good shot here, and coming out as Kowalski to make the play. That would have been a great look for the Cougars, specifically number 21, Bernardo Delgado, who comes to the Cougars from Mexico And that's something we haven't mentioned, is that the Cougars have a little bit of an international flair this year on the roster. Yes, of course, a lot of their players are still not only from the States, but also Illinois specifically. But Coach Callahan did a good job of pulling players from all over the world. You see players from Peru, from Spain, Mexico, Venezuela, Grenada. There is a Peru. I mentioned Peru already, as here come the Firebirds again. And this shot, it's blocked. Crowder, and that shot is into the goal. And they're going to say it's offsides. Aiden Crowder almost had his second goal in the span of a couple minutes. And instead, the referee rules that the Firebirds were offside, as now the referee from the pitch is going to go over to the far sideline ref who made the call to have a discussion. It was that far sideline ref who made the offsides call, as they usually do. They have the best point of view to do it, and now he's going to have a chat with his pitch referee. So we'll either be talking about what was a pretty funky goal. The ball trickled towards the goal, hit off the left pipe, and Crowder then put the rebound into the net, or we're going to be talking about an offsides. And, Van, this is going to be a big swing point, because we're either looking at a 2-goal deficit that the Cougars have to overcome, or we're going to be looking at a 1-goal reversal of a call from the field. I mean, either way this goes, it's going to be a big swing for one of these teams.
With this goal, too, it seemed like Schultz was also confused. He didn't know if it was offsides or not, and didn't fully play to the whistle. But also, when you're a goalie and you know all these terms and all this, sorry for that wind, but you know when players are offsides, you know when these calls are made, and he hears that whistle, and you play to the whistle, but if people keep playing, ultimately, you get confused too. So that confusion played a huge factor with that non-save.
As we see the substitution referee come over as well. So this is a 3-man committee now discussing the ruling. But yeah, that is an interesting point. I wasn't completely watching Schultz on that play. I was making sure I knew where the ball was, but that is a good point of, did Schultz, did he see it was offsides and think, all right, it's offsides, the play should be dead, and that's kind of what led that ball trickling past him, if that was the case or not. But like you said, Van, at the end of the day, you just got to play like the play is going on. If you see the other team is still going, you got to go as well. And they give the goal to Crowder. So the offsides ruling is overturned. CUC can't believe it. Kyle Schultz is visibly unhappy, as is Coach Brad Callahan of the Cougars. So they're going to get their explanation now. Coach Callahan is having his words with the substitution referee. Giovanni Velasquez is having some words with the referee in the pitch. And I think Coach Callahan could plead his case all he wants. It's not going to get overturned again.
Majority of the time, once the call has been shifted, they're not going to change that after. They're going to stick to their guns.
Once the call has been finalized, that's right. Most referees in any sport, especially a sport, at this level where we don't have instant replay, they're going to stick with the call that they made, especially, like you said, Van, if they already flipped the call once. So instead of an offsides and a continuation of play, we're looking at a 3-1 lead here for Carthage College over the Cougars. Carthage has now scored 3 unanswered goals, thanks in large part to their Offensive Player of the Year last year, Aiden Crowder, who now stands at 3 goals through 2 games. He's having himself a heck of a start to the 2024 season. As Carthage now, not that they're going to get complacent, but they can kind of settle for, all right, let's pull the guys back, let's park the bus a little and just play solid defense, because this is a Cougars team who they have not scored. They have not scored since the, I'm looking for they have not scored since the 39-44 mark of the first half. And Carthage with 2 goals within 2 minutes. As here's another tipped off the crossbar. And another shot, the whistle blown dead.
Right now, the defense really needs to create these opportunities to funnel these balls, because it seems like these breakaways are really, the speed is getting to them right now against the Firebirds.
So the play was blown dead. CUC is given possession. That was a very hard header from Carthage, and it rang off the crossbar. So we will have CUC possession here, but just goes to show that, again, game of inches. CUC a couple inches away from falling in a 4-1 hole.
It just shows also how aggressive this Carthage team is. They're going to keep scoring, although they have the opportunity just to whittle away the time and just really work the clock. They choose to continue and try to score as much as possible.
Yeah, and again, I think that we've mentioned a couple times that halftime adjustment from Paul Lease has done wonders for this team, I should say. This is a team who I think came in expecting a different Cougars squad. They got thrown a curveball by how competitive this team was in their first half of really this new era of CUC men's soccer with all the new faces on the team. And again, credit Paul Lease, credit his entire coaching staff of being able to take a step back and say, all right, let's catch our breath, let's recollect here, and let's come out firing in the second half, because they have most definitely done that. 3 goals scored in the second half.
And especially using Crowder, using that ability for his speed, his ball handling, and his just ability to create this space himself, allowing him to rest a little bit throughout the game, knowing that they could really use his full potential when the Cougars start to get tired.
Yeah, that is a good point of, we only saw Crowder for 21 minutes in the first half, and instead he looks very, very refreshed in this second half of action. He's got 2 goals to show for it. He's done a really good job of just being that playmaker that the Carthage Firebirds and Coach Paul Lease know he can be after winning Conference Offensive Player of the Year last year. I think that was going to be the big story to watch coming the second half was he going to get comfortable? And I think it's safe to say that Aiden Crowder has gotten very comfortable in the second half.
And showing why he is that offensive player, the CCIW, the main contributor, main guy to really have those stats and also just be acknowledged for that too.
As this ball working its way back towards the Cougars net. Here's Mickey Riley. Riley takes a shot. Saved by Schultz and a rebound. Schultz is able to fall on it. Aiden Crowder was very close to a hat trick goal, but Schultz able to fall on the rebound of his own save. Good job by Crowder to just keep the pressure up and, again, come very close to goal number 3 on the day as that ball is booted out of bounds by Izzy Irwin, a freshman out of Oak Park, Illinois. So right down the street, went to Oak Park or River Forest, probably the closest large high school in vicinity to Concordia University, Chicago, OPRF. As we are hitting the 20-minute mark right about now, left to go in regulation. CUC, they need 2 goals here to at least ensure a draw. They have lost every game they have played since that October 19th, 2022 mark that I mentioned. They have not drawn at all. So even a draw would be a victory in a sense, but they got some work to do if they even want to hit that point.
But as we stated earlier, just a victory in itself, like scoring a goal on this team that really shut out the Stars just a couple days ago, the Cougars really could use that opportunity to know, like, hey, what worked for us can also work for what worked for the Cougars in this game can also work against the Stars and how they could win against them, and use that just to strategize even more.
As Kyle Schultz boots this one down the field, that stopped at mid-pitch by a header from Adrian Atanasov. Atanasov out of Palatine, Illinois. An Illinois product on this Carthage team. A good mix of Illinois on this Carthage team. Actually, an overwhelming favoritism towards Illinois, which you might not expect out of a Wisconsin school, but Carthage is very close to the Illinois border. Kenosha, not too far over the border between Illinois and Wisconsin. As here is Yanez, boots it up ahead. Handling it now is Vicente Romero. So this ball's all the way back. Velasquez hits it up ahead. And that ball's going to go all the way out and will result in a throw-in by CUC. That looked like it went out inside the flags, but the referee, near sideline referee, saying that it went out just at the flag. That's about as deep a throw-in as you can get. Garrett Pointer tries to center the ball, and no one's in the vicinity. Ball bouncing, though, over the Carthage defender. CUC handling it. Good skills there. Centering passes right into the foot of Adanazov. And CUC has to work to get the ball back. They do here, and it's quickly out of bounds. Last touch is called on Carthage. So CUC ball.
As we're approaching this last third, really these midfielders and we need to push it out to the side and then push it back into the center to get that opportunity to even score. But right now, currently, the Cougars are not creating that space that they need to really score.
And now here comes Aiden Crowder. Aiden Crowder, ball bounces away from him, and Lehovitz kicks it out. Aiden Crowder has had a couple good opportunities to get goal number 3 today, and that ball just took an unfortunate bounce away from him.
That comes with, again, this field again has these divots, which the Cougars are adjusted to, but Carthage, the Firebirds, really have not played here in a long time, too. In the past 20 years almost.
Yeah, again, the last time these two teams played was October 20th of 2004. That was at Carthage. The last time they were here at CUC was September 3rd, 2003. So almost 21 years ago to this day was the last time that the Firebirds were seen here at CUC. As that ball will leave the field of play out of bounds. As here comes a throw-in from Damian Drzwecki. Drzwecki finds a man who boots it over. Wiki tries to dribble away. Garrett Pointer there as he kicks it off to Justin Ocampo. Ocampo, two-pointer. Pointer keeps it in play, but turns it over. Good play there by Ocampo to get the ball back. Ocampo issues it ahead. Here's a good chance for the Cougars, and that's in the goal! And offsides called on the Cougars, so never mind. And for the second time today, we have seen an offsides call wipe a goal. Now, for the first time for Carthage, it was reversed. They got the goal out of it, and the Cougars will have no such luck here. That was a good ball, and Bernardo Delgado looked like he would have gotten his first goal in a CUC uniform. And instead, the near sideline ref this time making the call, saying it was offsides. So bad break there for Delgado and the Cougars offense. Whistle blown as the Firebirds will get a free kick here. 15 minutes to go in regulation. As it'll be a free kick for Izzy Irwin. Irwin scanning the field for what his possible route is. And now he hands the ball off, and it's kicked all the way back to mid-pitch. Carthage still in control. Pushing it ahead is Blake Koza. Now a header back towards the CUC goal, and this ball will go out of play.
although that did not go in their favor for the Cougars. You could really use that to uplift and change the momentum. Seeing that they have this possibility and they almost just scored is enlightening itself. Although it didn't go the way that they wanted and the call didn't go in favor of the Cougars, they could use this opportunity just to say, hey, we can score again.
Right, it was a good look for CUC. They thought it was a goal before it was called back. So like Van said, I mean, CUC can take that as a, hey, that play almost worked. We just need to make sure we do it legally next time. No offsides. But they are quickly running out of time to do that. They need 2 goals here in 13 and a half minutes. This is for a team who has not scored since the 39-44 mark of the first half. And here's Lahovitz. Lahovitz centers it, and it's knocked away by Carthage and out of play. So CUC will get a throw in here. It'll be Lahovitz. Lahovitz finds Pointer. Pointer now being double teamed, and he fights to keep it in. He does, but he turns it over at the same time. And now we're starting to see Carthage get some new names in there. Aiden Crowder no longer on the pitch, as Coach Lease feeling maybe a little secure in his 2-goal lead with less than 13 minutes to go. Feels a bit more comfortable getting some of those depth players into the lineup. See what they can do against this Cougars team who is trying to find something here in the final 12 and a half of regulation.
Especially after they used his speed and abused that, allowing the Firebirds to take that lead, giving him that time to just rest for during the first half, and then abusing that the second half, creating that lead, and now the Firebirds, all they have to do is just run out the clock.
Aiden Crowder, again, only 21 minutes played in the first half. I don't know, he wasn't a starter. I don't know the complete rationale behind that decision, but whatever it was, it worked, and it looks like a genius move on Paul Lease's part, because Aiden Crowder came up huge in this second half, as he is right now outscoring the CUC team in total 2-1. And the other Carthage goal, the first one of the day, coming from Mickey Riley, as here is Mock. Mock had an assist in Carthage's season opening win on Friday. He gives it off to Hansen, Emmett Hansen, and good defense there by Lahovitz. Kicks it out, but gives his defense a chance to reset here. Ball in the near side corner. And keeping it in is Veye. And now they're saying CUC possession. Lahovitz will throw it in. And in fact, he'll hand it off to Giovanni Velasquez to throw it in. And we do have a substitution. Ocampo checks out. Di Santiago checks in for CUC. Ball up, couple kicks, couple headers, keep the ball moving. Di Santiago pushes this all the way back to Kyle Schultz. He's going to give himself a chance to reset. Schultz looking for his option, sends it down to the mid-pitch. Header there, and the ball still stays in play. Here's Garrett Pointer off Pointer's foot, and offside blown anyways on Pointer and CUC. As we have hit 5 o'clock here. And a full day of CUC soccer. The women's team taking the pitch earlier this morning, taking down Spalding University 1-0 for their first win of the season. First Cougar win of the season for CUC Athletics. And now the men's team in the need of a big comeback with less than 10 minutes to go in regulation. This weekend, really the kickoff to the 2024-25 CUC athletic year. Past Friday the 30th was the first time we saw teams in regular season action. The women's soccer team lost 4-0 to Augustina. Cross-country teams were in action at the North Park CUC Early Invitational. Women's volleyball lost in their season opener. Then in yesterday, women's volleyball suffering a pair of losses in the Maryville tournament down in Maryville, Tennessee. And now here we are on Sunday. Women's soccer has a win under their belt. Men's soccer, they are less than 9 minutes away from loss number 1 on the year. And now whistle blows. It'll be a foul on the Cougars. So free kick coming up here for Carthage.
With being a younger team and just having new guys too, the Cougars really don't have that experience just with closing games. So that's one thing where they, not saying that they fully came in cocky, this CUC team. However, after scoring their first goal against a team that made the conference playoffs for the CCIW and who had strong offensive threats and defensive threats too, really gave them that kind of boost that they needed, but not the boost that they really wanted, the way they needed it.
Yeah, I mean, playing, it might sound kind of easy, kind of simple to play while you're ahead, oh, you're in the win, but there is a lot of pressure to that. I mean, you feel that pressure of, oh my gosh, we are winning, especially for a team like CUC, who they've not been in that position since 2022 of being able to close out a win. So there is a lot of pressure to playing while you're ahead, as that free kick goes way over the net. But this is, like you said, Van, it was a position that this Cougars team, even between the returners and the new faces, they're just not used to being in, and that's something they're going to have to work on of, hey, we have a 1-goal lead. How do we hold on to it? How do we add on to it? And that's something that they're going to have to seriously try to master and get good at this season if they want to break this losing streak they're on. As Kyle Schultz, a little pass over to Velasquez, who will dish it up the near sideline to Lahovitz, and Lahovitz loses out. Last touch on Carthage, however, so CUC will hold on to the ball.
Continuing off that too, just the jitters in general. This is their first like official kind of game that they're playing, the CUC Cougars, and really trying to get in that headspace of, this is like collegiate football, this is collegiate soccer. How are we gonna play this in the way that we can ultimately get these wins and continue and build on these wins?
Well, after today, the men's soccer team will have about a week off. They will have the whole work week, if you will, away from the pitch. Obviously, they'll still be practicing and whatnot, but they'll be back in game action this Saturday, September 7th, when they face off against the University of St. Francis, Illinois, Joliet, Illinois. They are traveling there, as that is a day full of CUC athletics here on campus and off campus. The women's volleyball team has a quad tournament here. Football will be opening up their season. Women's tennis opens up their season here at CUC. So Saturday, September 7th is sure to be a fun day for CUC athletics, and is the next time this men's soccer team is in action. As here is Kyle Schultz now. Schultz the kick off the chest of Pointer.
And with that week off, they could really use that opportunity to see what really went wrong towards the second half and kind of build on that. And also just create that stamina that they need when they are winning.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting week, as there have been plenty of positives in this game for Coach Callahan, as well as things on the other side of the spectrum, giving up 3 straight in the second half. And obviously, there's still 6:22 left to go in the game. It's not over till it's over, but whether the Cougars are able to come back or not, there's definitely a lot of good things and a lot of things that need improvement to take away from this first game of the season for second-year head coach Brad Callahan and the Cougars. Giovanni Velasquez boots it over a couple of heads. The Cougars handling the ball here. Velasquez racing back towards it. There's a header to get in front of him. Now Velasquez not able to do anything with that before Carthage knocks it away. Velasquez trying to fight for it. He knocks the guy down. No flag or whistle blown. are the Firebirds. That ball sent across. Handling it now near sideline is Drzewicki. He's had quite a few number of touches so far today. And here with it now is Dennis Veye. He hands it off back to mid-pitch.
Really using these sidelines is one of the things that Carthage really also started to pick up instead of just using their speed into the second half, allowing the Firebirds really to score and create that space for those goals to get 3 in a row.
Ball works back towards Kowalski. And the Firebirds continue with plenty of control here.
Seeming like they're trying to attempt to.
Here's a good breakaway. Veye, and he gets tangled up, creates some space for himself, and a shot just misses left of the goal. Veye, good physicality to basically legally throw his defender out of the way, and then he was able to get that shot off. It just missed left of the net of that left pipe. So Carthage a couple yards away from goal number 4 on the day, and instead CUC will get set for the goal kick from Kyle Schultz. And if CUC, if they're going to come back from this deficit, now is the time to do it. We are hitting the 4-minute mark in just about 7 seconds here. So CUC, they're planning on making this last, 4 minutes interesting. Now is the time to do so. And this is a Carthage team who, ever since giving up that first goal of the afternoon, has looked very, very stout defensively.
The Firebirds also really trying to abuse this time right now and dwindle the clock and then create an opening after really the Cougars are moving around for a real long time. Creating that space, allowing those one-on-ones and using whatever speed they have left to really shoot.
Meanwhile, CUC, they got to find some last-second juice here. Here's a ball, and coming out is Kowalski to make the grab, as he now lays down on the ball to secure it. Would have been a nice chance for the Cougars, but Kowalski, who, besides the one slip-up on the goal he gave up, he has looked very, very good so far today. Carthage handled it at mid-pitch before Velasquez able to grab it. Now this ball down. Fight for the ball. Pointer loses it. Less than 3 to go in regulation. Carthage back. And the ball sent towards Kowalski in goal. Kowalski sends this one ahead. Nobody's there, and this is just going to roll out of bounds. So Lehovitz will have a chance for a throw-in. Or, excuse me, Velasquez. As Velasquez, again, trying to inch forward on the throw-in. He's instead being told to back it up to where the ball, closer to where the ball went out. I don't think that's exact either. As we are officially at the 2-minute warning of today's game. CUC, they got to get 2 here for a tie. Carthage, as we've said before, really just needs to run the clock out here, play some strong defense, don't give up any high scoring opportunities, and they will be walking out of here with win number 2 on the season. As here comes DeSantiago, he gets pushed from behind, no whistle. Now he hits the ground, and now there will be a whistle. Free kick coming up for the Cougars. They're going to need to hurry, though, if they want to make anything happen. This is pretty much a free kick that needs to turn into a goal if CUC wants any chance of coming back here. They need a goal right now as that clock continues to dwindle. Again, it is a running clock in soccer except after goals and when referees stop to issue things like yellow cards or injuries. As here's a shot from DeSantiago wide left. And
Really, that was probably one of the strategies for the Firebirds, was just to get that free kick option for the Cougars, so then that clock can run out and gives them a different, instead of just passing the ball back and forth, doing a different look that really forces them to score 2 right away, right in a row.
40 seconds to go here, and barring any catastrophe on Carthage's part, they just have to close this one out as they move it up the far sideline. They just got to take care of the ball, and like I said, just got to make sure they don't have any massive breakdowns that allow the Cougars to get 2 quick goals. As we are at the 20-second mark now, Firebird hits the ground, and there will be a stoppage of the clock as another yellow card will be issued towards the Cougars. So 17 seconds, once play resumes, Carthage will have possession, and you figure they pretty much are just going to play with the ball and maybe send it down to the Cougars' end, because it's hard to do much of anything in 17 seconds when the ball is on your end of the pitch, especially score 2 goals.
Ultimately, just the age of the team, not saying that everyone on the CUC team is now like older, but just having a more refined team that has played together with each other really shows just the mental grit that they have.
Cougar hits the ground, he's tripped up, and we get a quick stoppage of the clock with 2 seconds left. You heard our PA announcer, who's our sports information director today, Kayla McLeod. She was counting down, as is accustomed to do with 10 seconds to go in a soccer match, and she had to stop because a last-second whistle from the refs. So this will pretty much be it. CUC will get a free kick, as now they're bringing everybody. Kyle Schultz coming over half. Coach, this is the equivalent to pulling the goalie in hockey. You're getting all your players down on the offensive end to make something happen, but with 6 seconds, they did wind the clock back up, so CUC might have a chance at something here. As here comes the free kick. It is put towards the goal, and it is knocked by Kowalski, and he kicks it out. Kyle Schultz almost had a shot at it, and it was quickly booted out by Kowalski, who he lands on the ground, and that'll do it. So CUC, a brand new era of soccer for Coach Callahan, with 27 new recruits coming into today, and it ends in a 3-1 loss to the Carthage College Firebirds. It looked promising for a while. CUC, they went into halftime with a 1-0 lead, but as you usually see with good teams, good experienced teams like Carthage, they find a way. They come back. They scored 3 straight in the second half to take a 3-1 lead, and they hold that lead to the final buzzer. Let's go over some of the final statistics from today. In terms of team stats, Firebirds outshooting the Cougars 16-9. Shots on goal 7-6 in favor of the Firebirds, so not a big disparity in that number. Saves 5-2 in favor of the Firebirds. All those saves coming from Evan Kowalski, who had another solid game in net so far in the season. He's got 9 saves with only 1 goal allowed. As for Kyle Schultz and the Cougars, making 2 saves while allowing 3 goals. Fouls 10-8 in favor of CUC. CUC with more, so I don't know if in favor is the right term. And then 4 corners for Carthage, 0 for CUC, 4 offsides for Carthage, 3 for CUC. In terms of our scores, CUC started the scoring with the freshman Michael Sinise. He was assisted by Garrett Pointer. And then Carthage, 3 straight, starting with a goal from Mickey O'Reilly, and then 2 straight goals from Aiden Crowder, grabbing the lone assist on the day for the Carthage Firebirds was Christian Vivar. So that'll do it for the 2024 season opener for the Cougars. Van, kind of a tough one to swallow for CUC. You hold that lead. You're trying to win your first game in almost 2 years, and then Carthage comes back and scores 3 goals. Still some positive takeaways from this game for CUC. So let's get your final thoughts on the game before we wrap things up.
Overall, we had Sinise have his first goal for as a collegiate athlete, and for the Cougars, which is a positive note for the Cougars, that they have someone else on the offensive threat that can also score instead of just Pointner, that was the main scorer last year. Also, defense. At the first part of the half, the first half entirely, they really shut them out, the Firebirds. So funneling that ball. But after that, we saw the speed control of Crawford, that difference of just grit and stuff really shook up the Cougars, which they can ultimately use that in practice and learn what they need to do to funnel against a team that really has that speed advantage.
So CUC, they fall 3-1 in the season opener to the Carthage Firebirds. They will be back in action this upcoming Saturday, September 7th. The University of St. Francis, the Cougars taking a trip there in Joliet, Illinois, as they are still looking for their first win of the year and first win under Coach Brad Callahan. But until then, I want to say thanks to everybody making this Cougar Sports Network production possible. Up here in the broadcast booth, we had producers Tyler Dorsch and Abby Kulig. Our camera women for the day was Ashley Schroll and Jessica Gang. We had Alan Mateo taking photos field level. Of course, Van Gato joined me on the call all of the second game. We're under the direction of our graduate assistant Sydney Lloyd and our sports information director Kayla McLeod. But one more time, CUC men's soccer, they fought at Carthage College 3-1 to end today's soccer doubleheader. Men's soccer back in action Saturday, September 7th at the University of St. Francis. Coverage for that game as well as everything related to CUC men's soccer can be found at our website, cucougars.com. But until next time, this is Peter Borkowski signing off of the Cougar Sports Network and wanting to say, as always, go Cougars.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's Concordia University Chicago Cougars Athletics broadcast. We hope to see you on campus very soon. If you would like to learn more about what Concordia Chicago has to offer, go to cuchicago.edu.